Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Musnika Muharani Albantani. I want to explain you about cell division. Cell division is a process of cell proliferation by dividing one cell into two or more so that new cells are formed. The cell itself, the smallest structural and functional unit that make up an organism. We know that there are living things that have eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell types. Cell division that occurs in eukaryotic organism is divided into two types, namely meiotic and mitotic division. Meanwhile, cell division in prokaryotic organism is called binary fission or direct fission amitotic. Types and stage of cell division. 1. Direct cleavage amitotic. 2. Indirect cleavage meiotic and mitotic. Direct cleavage amitotic. Initially, binary fission begins with the division that occurs in one cell nucleus so that it's become two. Then followed by cytoplasmic fission until in the end, this cell split into two daughter cells. Indirect cleavage, mitotic and meiotic. Mitotic cleavage. Prophase. The breakdown of the nuclear membrane becomes fragment, then forms chromatin threads, and then the chromatin solidifies to form chromosome, then will go to the midpoint of the cell. Metaphase. The bobbin threads begins to appear clear. The chromosome will run parallel in the equator space of the cell, then the threads will appear up to the poles, but will not be attached to the centromere. Then the centromere divides to form a chromatid, which then forms a single chromosome. Anaphase. The separation of the chromosome into two equal parts in different directions. Telophase. The final stage where the chromosomes are located at the poles, the nucleus will reappear, then the chromatids will disappear when the cytoplasm is thick. After that, the membrane in the cell will separate from the two cells that were there before. Meiotic cleavage. Meiotic division is a process of cell division that produces daughter cells with half the number of chromosomes from the parent cell. Meiotic division itself occurs by going through two processes, namely meiotic 1 and meiotic 2. In the process of meiotic 1, there will usually be a reduction process on the chromosome, while in the process of meiotic 2, it is actually a mitotic of cell division. Meiotic stage 1. In prophase 1, the chromatin threads will undergo a process of shortening and thickening so that they can form a chromosome. Metaphase 1, the chromosome will move toward the equatorial plane. Anaphase 1, the chromosomes are homologous to separate and then move to the opposite poles. Telophase 1, a cytokinesis process occurs so that two cells will be formed. Each cell in the part that has one nucleus with one part of the chromosome is homologous. Meiotic stage 2. Prophase 2 begins with the process of cell division that occurs in two centrioles, so that they become two parts and move towards the polar parts that are opposite each other. Metaphase 2, the chromatid will move toward the equatorial plane. Anaphase 2, in this phase, the separated chromatid form chromosomes with their respective centromere, then move toward the poles that will be opposite each other. Telophase 2, the part of the chromosome that has arrived at the poles and will then undergo a decondensation process, which then becomes chromatin, and the microtubule form part of the nuclear membrane around the nucleus. The purpose of cell division. 1. The generation of damaged and dead cells. 2. Helping the growth and development process. 3. Helping the process of reproduction. 4. New individual variation. The function of cell division is 1. Perform cell division in order to reproduce in unicellular organism. 2. In some organism, the body cell can divide with the aim of multiplying cell so that cell can grow and develop properly. 3. Regeneration of dead cell. 4. Growth process. So many explanations about cell division that I can convey. I hope it is useful. Thank you and see you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi